Hey guys, how's it going? March 14th, 2021. And interesting little background. Wow, I'm actually here a day after I said that I hadn't posted in a little while, which I hadn't. And suddenly I got a little bit of extra time on what happens usually is weekends. My son will go upstairs for a little bit, and then I don't really get into the games as much. We kind of do that together. And I do play games on my own as well, but an interesting little background. The first picture was that of that bridge that's just in the background there, which is the flight locks. And the railway line is just in the back towards the end there. This is a night picture, obviously. This is Bridge 5, so the train bridge is Bridge 4. Bridge 5 is the Glendale Avenue Bridge, and this is up by Port Robinson. All part of the Welland Canal. Um, so, anyways, I got my water here, and I'll drink that sparingly, but lots to talk about here. At first, I didn't, it's kind of weird because I come up with these ideas, whether they be small and huge or whatever. This isn't an announcement. Everything here is a concept. The only thing I can say is that Railroad Transportation Simulator, as that name, as I've been wanting to change my brand now for probably since the beginning of the new year at least. Railroad Transportation Simulator as its own concept program, whatever the hell it is dead. Including the announced 2021. That's a dead project. So it's something that I decided. One, I thought I had an easy way of doing it, and I think I chose a path that was too easy and too basic, and I realized that right away it was just not what I want to do. Now, what I'm going to announce, not announce, I hate to use the word announce because I have changed the brand name, not of just this channel, but of any future things that happen to be created, whether or not they're created, who knows? It's not like I'm a publicly traded company trying to get you. I just got over 500 subscribers the other day. I'll still talk about things. I'll still, occasionally post various YouTube and try to give you some content, some cool pictures. Uh, it's not that I'm not interested in trains. Almost certainly am. In fact, we're heading out tomorrow. We're actually going to stay out till Thursday by the sounds of it. I'm heading out, down. We're not going to London now. We're going to Toronto Mac Yard. And we're going to head east to Belleville, and we're going to stay an extra day because the weather looks favorable. Friday doesn't look as favorable, so there's a nice pocket coming in between late Monday and Thursday for flying, and we're going to head off tomorrow down the Halton sub. Follow that into Toronto from Burlington area. Head into Toronto, do some flying there. Hopefully, fly above Mac Yard. That'll be cool. That should be interesting to see because in theory, flying anywhere as long as the airspace allows it, which they do for the 249 gram drones, is fine. But once you get above that, that's when you get into more restricted airspace and limits as to what you can do. Now, the key word here is what you're flying above. If you're spying on somebody or a personal or anything like that, yeah, that can, in theory, be considered spying. But really, I'm not doing it in a form of trying to find out trade secrets or anything like that. I mean, if Google can take shots of Mac Yard from above, I don't see why I would have any reason why I can't fly from above and get views of some of the trains in action. It's not like I'm going to be spying on everybody or whatever. I'm going to fly at a safe enough height that I'm not distracting anybody, that I'm not endangering the drone or anybody, and I intend to go over Mac Yard. That is my goal tomorrow. And not only may I do a day one, I may do a night one. So I'm looking forward to that. And we're going to enjoy Toronto tomorrow and then head off towards Belleville, where, we're not going to be in too many major yards and just focusing on the trains. But that's, so trains are certainly an essential part. What I have done, and this is with the title of the title that I put onto the image thingy majiggy or whatever for the stream that you probably clicked on or whatever is where is it? This is the image that I am going to find if I can find it. Oh yeah, there we go. So this is what I'm keeping the RTS lingo. Um, this is a weird, interesting one because I'm still talking about simulations. I haven't given up that, and I don't think I'll ever give it up, to be quite honest. If programming techniques get easier, if building games gets easier, or simulations or whatever, then I'm going to try this every time. I will try to do this pretty much every time, and that is basically what I'm calling myself now. Instead of Railroad Transportation Simulator, which is focused on one simulator, which means nothing, I am going with Revolutionary Transportation Simulations as my brand. And I could stick with RTS. Stick with RTS. It can be RTS. RTS means a lot of things. I think there's a concept in that with RTS games. Like there's a I don't know what the hell it stands for exactly. But anyways, whatever. And the reason why I use this logo is this is a perfect example. You have a railway bridge here. You've got ship. So it's dealing with all forms of transportation. And there's a reason behind that concept, and I'll get to it. But that's going to be the RTS moving forward. I call it RTS for short because that's hard to remember. It's going to take a while for me to. It's like I was calling it radical transportation simulations, and I was trying to find a letter for the R, and who knows, maybe I'll change it. I don't care. It's not like it's going on a trademark or anything like that. That's just what I'm calling my my brand for now, and that's the way it's going to be. I want to explain some of the concepts at which I'm looking at. I wasn't going to at first. I thought, oh no, we'll keep it as a quote unquote trade secret. And but the thing is, Run 8 for years. I don't want to be like that because Run 8 for years feared. I think personally, and yeah, I'm getting. I don't want to be talking about Run 8 so much. I want to talk the good about Run 8, but I'll just use this example. Run 8 for years probably feared releasing information, which unfortunately, from my point of view as a consumer and a supporter, was why I lost faith in them. Is this whole fear of people getting figuring out what they do. All it takes is them to purchase the game, and they can figure out through trial and error how their physics works, how everything else works. It doesn't take too much, and nobody ever, in my opinion, came close to beating the physics of Run 8, which is why I consider Run 8 the top of the food chain when it comes to the best train simulator out there. Nobody's beat it. Nobody's come close. There's some that we're gonna create programs. I forget some of the names that they were talking about that came out. I can't even remember the names of these companies that were talking like they were going to do big things, and they had big budgets and they had money invested and they actually had code written. Me, I'm just a YouTuber with a big mouth, just blabbing around about stuff that I want to do. Here's what I like before I get into it. I A lot of people say, "Well, would you get back into Run 8?" And I even replied to Scott last night, and I kind of talked about it for a bit because it was mentioned in the stream by both Scott and Quincy about trying to get me back in. Like they've had no interest in Run 8 since I've been gone or something. I don't know why, because it shouldn't be about me. It should be about the program. It should be about what's available. It's not what I can do. I mean, I'm just coming up with ideas or servers or whatever. Uh, they're capable of doing things themselves. They're capable of hosting servers, putting ideas out there. And I was a member of the Southwest server for the longest time, and it was all about Mike had always wanted to have a server that brought in everything that was available for Run 8. So if Run 8 produced a rolling stock, they brought it in. If Run 8 produced a new route that attached to California, they brought it in. For me personally, that made the server less appealing to me because I saw the writing on the wall when I gave up the Southwest server because I just knew these things were coming. I knew LA was coming. I knew all this other stuff was coming. It wasn't so much non-disclosure agreements. It was actually publicly announced. Um, I don't have any this non-disclosure agreement crap. I didn't know anything. It's like I still don't know anything. There's no secrets. There's this, a fear about stuff getting out is kind of, I understand, you don't want people, it's bad enough when people steal your, steal your copyright programs to pirate. And it's bad enough when people get into your programs and start doing crap that you're really not too fond of. Um, but yeah, I wanted to get into for me, it's all about. I lost my train of thought there. That's what happens when you get old, I think, and my brain and medication. Um, anyways, I'll just forget about it because I'll be spending the whole time trying to remember what the hell I was saying. But if I had a reverse button in my live stream, I'd do it. But anyways, moving on. Where were we at here? Nothing going on. Cool. Um, so yeah, they were talking. The guys were talking about what it would take for me to get back in or whatever. And I basically I said to Scott in an email. I tried to explain. I think what Scott was doing, and I mean it's his server. He could do whatever he wants, as well as what uh, Smiley was doing. It was too open. It was an entire region, and it was either an entire region and or no real structure. It was like you can do whatever you want. The problem is when you can do whatever you want, then that just leads to chaos because then it leads to anybody doing whatever the hell they want. Even Scott was saying, well, any multiplayer stuff that he's been on. I mean, with it, whether it be the traffic simulators or whatever, they end up getting into stupid racing stuff, and you know people would be switching stuff. They wouldn't care about what system you're working on and stuff like that. I think it just leads to you try to please everybody, and it leads to people just doing whatever the hell they want, and then there's really no boundary. I tried to set boundaries, and the problem with setting boundaries is you lose. Say, for example, in if I was to only, I could have easily bought Lone Pine, for example. If I bought Lone Pine and operated the Lone Pine branch, let's say, and I decided to simulate running Trona. Uh oh, is he gonna come down early? Maybe it's not early for him. But if I was going to simulate Trona, for example, I'd be missing out on some of the cool things, the UP or whatever. But I considered it, and it would depend on how many people were interested in running Trona, because there's a lot of switching involved in Trona. I like mainline runnings too. I like to do mainline runs. I like to do switching. I like to do a variety of different things. I even like the humps. The problem with it is the bigger it gets, the more people you need, or manpower you need, AI, and you need all that other stuff. And that's really been the issue. The AI was good at first, but then when expansion began, that's when it made it tough. So that's where I kind of slowly fell out of Run 8. If a few people could agree on an area that they want to run, that they like, and they just want to operate it realistically, it can be done. And there's possibilities. Problem is, you're dealing with a Class 1 railroad. That happens to be you're dealing with a Class 1 railroad that just happens to be not only just a Class 1, but happens to be a transcontinental.
Oh,
Hello. Well, that was quick. I haven't even gotten to the secrets. Or not the secrets. I just started pretty much.
yeah. Okay.
Oh, that's why you're down here. You're down here to. You got to get involved in this, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, okay. I haven't even got to this far yet. I told you I was going to do a live stream.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were you up for? 30 minutes?
Except for an hour.
You've been up for an hour?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't been doing this for an hour. I mean, I had lunch and all that stuff, and trying to figure out what the hell's happening in the washroom. But how long have I been on? I haven't been on that long. 15 minutes. Anyways, so yeah. Anyways, where was I? So yeah, the bottom line is it would have to be something like that. Like somebody asked me, as I was saying last night, somebody asked me the other day, "Oh yeah, I've got something about open rails." Well, it's too bad instead of creating your own simulation that you wouldn't do that. I'm open to all that stuff. It doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be my idea. It doesn't have to be. I would join a Run 8 server if there was a limited focal point to it. The problem is the two busiest servers out there pretty much do the same thing. They try to please everybody. They try to take one route or another, and they just try to give everybody to everyone to please everyone to get the people on there, and that's it. I was willing to at least take some risks. The problem was when I took those risks, uh, I put a server up, some of these Mojave projects and a few other things like that, and it was just like I said last night. I was watching trains go back and forth on my own, and I was just like, why am I not doing this in single player if I want to? And to be quite honest, single player would be boring as hell. And the difference between when I went to trains was that at least I had some form of control as far as what I was modeling, and I could try to do Niagara, I could try to do something different. And that's where I saw the potential to do Niagara and do Niagara AI and a few other things. The thing where I ran into with trains was that we were dealing with um, I was finding the difficult task of the data that's available out there as far as geological data. Canada has 10 meter and 30 meter. Unfortunately, it's mainly 30 meter. So what 30 meter is if you look at if you know the metric, I don't know what 30 meters is in feet for you guys down south, but let me just try to convert that for you for a second. Yeah, it's probably, let's see, meters to feet. Okay. Yeah, it's a 3.20, so what the hell? Oh, what happened there? Did it go? Oh, okay, I got the num lock off somehow. Okay, so 100 feet is your 30 meter data. What that means is that train there, a 50-foot boxcar, you come across twice. There we go. 100 feet's about this much. So let's say you have a point right here and a point right over here. There's your elevation points. That's how accurate the terrain is. If it's 10, you're looking at something like this. It's a little bit more. 10's a little bit more, but it's not perfect either. You literally need close to 1 meter or 5 meters like they do in trains. Trains has 5-meter maps. It's very difficult to find 5-meter data, but trains can go as detailed as 5-meter grids. So everything can then be, if you have 5-meter data to go with the 5-meter grids that they have in trains, then suddenly you can have a realistic looking grade at least. Even 5 meters is not necessarily perfect, but it's good enough. I mean, 5 meters, you're likely going to be able to at least with a 5-meter square or whatever, you'll be able to play around with the grade. But this is where I'll get into what I'm thinking. And Emmett and I have talked a great deal about this. And I'm telling you right now, Emmett, they're not going to hear you.
Okay. I'm not going to bother talking about it, though.
Fully.
Yeah.
Fully.
Fully.
Well, if you do, speak up or get a microphone. Because people are not going to understand. Because I want to get this out. And I don't know if they can hear you. My mic here. How about I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna raise the volume on this, guys. So we'll see if this picks you up. Okay, I'm up to the top now, so this is as good as it's going to get.
Okay, as close as I possibly can. But...
No. Just hold on. So go ahead, you try.
Okay.
You're pretty good.
It seems to pick me up.
It seems to be picking you up?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's really picking me up, so I'll try to talk softly. Then go ahead and go back a little bit. Just go ahead and relax a bit if you want to relax. Unless you want to sit there, I don't give a rat's ass.
I'm very comfortable.
Oh, you're very comfortable? Awesome. Okay. So the whole RTS concept now is transportation systems. And what I want to do is create a series of programs or steps or procedures to get about my goals. The first thing I have to do is I have to get confidence. In order to be able to program something, I need the confidence that I can do it. And I want to do a 3D simulation. 2D is fine, and I can do things in 2D, and maybe I'll eventually go that way if I find I don't have the confidence or the ability to do 2D. Or if there's a concept that I'm overlooking that's in 2D, then maybe. I've already talked about the other day about Mackyard and maybe trying something that way, because I did have a lot of fun in Freight Yard Manager. So being able to do something Freight Yard Manager like is a possibility, but I need to do it on the busiest stage possible, and Mackyard's one of them, which is one of the reasons I look forward to flying there tomorrow, flying over and getting a lot of imagery. Because regardless of the way I'm going, that's not the way I'm thinking, but at least right now in concept form, I can go that way. First and foremost, before we even get into this whole RTS concept, I want to say I have enough things to do in my life and programs we want to run and play. I wanted to play Lumberjacks. I haven't played this enough in the last day or so. I want to play it. But we've been doing other things. And, we've been planning our trip. We've been doing all kinds of things. So, I mean, we played it a bit. This is eventually going to die out. And then something else will take its place. I'll either go back to Dyson Sphere. There is so many programs on the horizon. There's so many programs that I could get into right now that will fill that niche real quick. Those games are not ones that last forever. Run 8 lasted a very long time. It could have kept going had they kept going themselves, but unfortunately, they must have run into a snag, or they decided that they were only going to speak to certain individuals, and that's fine. If they're not going to include the entire community, or if they're going to come attack me every time I get critical of them, too bad. I don't care. I don't want to be associated with it. Version 3 comes along and it looks good and it does anything, and if it's worth buying, I'll buy it. If not, I don't care. That's all I want to say about Run 8. So enough about Run 8, enough about what everybody else does. I don't care. There's enough quality programs besides trains that I enjoy doing. I like space programs, I like exploration, I like survival, I like Lumberjack Dynasty. I like trains. If I'm going to go with anything, I'd go back to trains. But even trains right now, I don't run. And I got nothing problem. Trains has a great community. I like trains, blah, blah, blah. So, I wanted to say that first and foremost. I don't need this. I just want it. I have plenty of things that will keep me occupied. And I want to make that perfectly crystal clear to everybody that happens to want to be hearing my babble. Now let's get on to the whole the whole part. So programming, one of the things that I came across in trains that I discovered very quickly was we don't have enough prototypical data. I touched on that. You have to take educated guesses at grades if you don't have grade charts, which I don't for CN in this area. I have CP, I don't have CN. Could I do CP? Sure. Do I want to do CP? Not necessarily, because I like CN and I follow CN more. CN is the one that goes through my city. CP is very nearby. It's not that far away. I could do CP, but there's not enough industry. It's not something I want to focus on. So, I mean, we were even joking today. I got a red Fiat, and I was gonna put white duct tape with the CN symbol on it. I don't know if we'll do that or not, but I don't care. I don't care what people think or whatever. I would just do it for the fun of it. And if I'm around CP tracks, that should be interesting. But anyways, so the RTS concept now, where I want to go with, which I have to remember the name. I apologize. I keep on reading. So I want to call it radical. I don't know. Radical or realistic, whatever. It's RTS. It's basically transportation simulations, which is the key form. Whatever you want to call the R, ridiculous, go ahead. I don't care. You can make a joke about that. Emmett would probably think of that in some ways, but
Yes.
oh, there we go. See, so you think some of my, and him and I are back and forth, but I have convinced him on certain things too, and he's actually convinced me. But for me, it's revolutionary because it hasn't been tried, and I don't think it's been tried in the gaming industry that I can think of. And I believe it's possible. I believe I'm thinking outside the box. I believe I've had ideas that I think. I'm not that I'm special or anything like that, but I think people that think outside the box tend to come up with some interesting things. The way I look at it is this: in order to get my confidence, I need to have something that's simple that I can get going with very little assets. Since I'm weak on building assets, I'm good on building logic. So what I want to do is, my first project would be something called RTS Expediter. What that is, it has nothing to do with trains whatsoever. But it has everything that's going to be built upon where I want to go from there. The whole idea of Expediter, and this is where I lose a lot of people. I lose Emmett. I think I sort of lost Scott on this because he thought it was a space simulation. It's not. In order to create a backstory and to create a purpose as to why this is happening, Emmett and I disagree on this. on how to do it, but he likes the idea of having he disagrees on the backstory, but he agrees on the concept of doing something like this. So at the very least, if we disagree on the backstory, that's okay. I can still program. What I want to do is be able to create a program that will successfully create a world-like map that has accurate geometry into a small scale. I would go with as small as 1 meter. So that's even more precise. But I could try 5 at first and see how it looks. Try 5 meter scale, which is a lot. If you try to do the entire planet Earth, it's going to take a lot. Can it be done? Yes, it's going to be quite huge, but I'm actually more interested in dealing with smaller globes. And you might think, okay, well, smaller globes, that's not Earth. And you'd be correct. Because this is where the difference that where I'm foreshadowing. My backstory involves having today's technology that we somehow discover in the not too distant future. Don't specify what it means, don't specify the year, don't specify anything else. In the not too distant future, mankind is going to find a way to find a wormhole. And a wormhole, I don't know if that's all Star Trek, I think it goes beyond Star Trek though, doesn't it?
Many different things.
Okay, so we're going to use the wormhole idea. What it is you basically, a probe was going out, and it was a man-made discovery. It was not NASA or anything like that. A probe came out, found this wormhole where all of a sudden it tapped a frequency to communicate back to Earth, and it suddenly opened this big gate that was able to take them somewhere. So because they were a probe, they were curious, and they flew towards it. And they suddenly were transported into another part of the universe. They discovered that by setting a certain frequency at it, it took you to different parts of the universe. Okay, now this sounds all space-like. It sounds out of this world. And that's going to lose a lot of people right there, but it's all that is the backstory to explain. How the hell did we get to something that's totally, might be Earth-like, but out there? The reason why I want to go with smaller planets is because of the amount of time it creates to do it, and to be able to handle the logistics in the most reasonable way possible. I don't even know if I would go so far to create a Earth-like size, because it's too big. I would probably have a core limit until I could decide how to do it, or I would start with a very small sphere. And basically from there, that would create the smallest grid possible to be able to program randomly procedurally generated, according to parameters that you choose. You'll have some say into it, which require tons of discovery or trial and error with probes. I'm not going to go that far. All I want to do is basically how the program starts is you specify the parameters, it goes in, and it starts giving you probe data back. So you're looking at a screen of the planet as it's moving by, and you're going in orbit, and you're seeing all the random generated stuff start coming back at you. You've already got the average temperatures, the size of the planet, everything, length of day, whatever. Maybe you can even parameter those things in. The reason why it's taking so long to do it in real time is because of the amount of computing and random number generating reseeding that's required to create such a random generation in the first place. What I want to be able to do is successfully create a random generation of a planet that can basically be explored. The first trials would probably be nothing like a planet Earth. It would probably be very goofy. It probably wouldn't even look like what's that stupid Minecraft or whatever. It probably wouldn't look like anything like it. It would be really weird, and then I'd have to tone it down and try various hills and stuff like that. I don't even think I would have running water. I'd have the ocean levels. I wouldn't be able to get into the rivers just yet. That's a whole other topic that I would have to touch on. But little baby steps first. Get it to the point where you got the oceans, you got the land masses, and maybe some simple. It doesn't even have. I can have stand-in assets. I can have friggin' little characters or whatever representing trees. Stuff like that, or vegetation, or different minerals and stuff like that. The whole concept behind that is to simply at any point be able to generate your own scenery. Anybody can go in it and generate, and maybe I would have a world editor. Maybe I'd have a world map editor or something at some point. There's no reason why I couldn't have that as part of it as well, so people could develop Earth-like planets, or maybe even a planet the size of Earth, if I can figure out how much data that would take. Haven't tried to calculate that, to be quite honest. Haven't been that far. So the expedition phase is all it is once the planet's, you got two choices. It's generating and you don't like how the map's looking, you hit abort. It hits abort, it immediately sends another probe to a different location, and you have another world based on your parameters and starts trying that. It takes time for these things to do, so you're going to have to hang in there and like what you're seeing. If eventually you like what you see coming up, and like I said, it takes time. I don't know how much time it would create to create an actual planet to your specifications or your liking. Eventually you hit accept. Then you have the entire planet's surface that you're able to take a look at, and you'll see is the water, basically what the land formations look like, temperatures, stuff like that. But you really don't have much data from orbit as far as what kind of minerals are there. You would just basically go by the temperatures, by maybe what looks to be like trees, mountains, stuff like that, and water. And you go in and you just say, I'm choosing this location. You start there. Your rover lands there, and you're starting your expedition. And you take the rover, and you basically survey the planet. You find minerals. You find various places to set up small settlements, whatever, something along those lines. And you're basically creating a new colony that people will have. You have supplies that's going to be in a ship that's orbiting that's going to be orbiting this planet that you found. So you're going to have a lot of these supplies already. However, you need to find other supplies. This is where other programs come into play. And I say other programs, and this is where Emmett thinks I can do this all in one program. Maybe I can, maybe I won't. We'll see. If I can, then I go ahead and I do it. I want to be able to take control of these resources and be able to establish logistical trade patterns. So, what goes in, wood goes in, creates paper, blah, blah, blah. All the different things that would create an actual trade flow or a logistics flow. So if you started in one area that had a lot of resources that were all nearby, you would have that. If it didn't have the resources you needed, then you would have to get it from shuttles going to and from your ship in orbit. Your ship is only going to have so much. Eventually, if it had to go back to Earth and collect some more, then it would do it, but there would be quite a bit of cost involved. Your mission is to find more resources on the planet and to be able to connect to those resources and build economies based on that. That's how the expedition works. It fits up into the industry cycles. From there would be other things like RTS Tycoon, where more people are involved now. Settlements are being built. Economies are being built. Things are coming into play now as a developing new world. And because it's so costly to get stuff back and forth from Earth and load on one ship, it's much more, and it's costly for space travel. It's much easier to use forms of transportation like railroads. So this is where Tycoon comes into play. And it would find ways of surveying or using the surveys that were already out there, data, to find ways to actually, just like any Tycoon game, to be able to transport quite a big, huge log supply or something from the north, let's say, to certain fields out in the west that have plenty of food, which would be used to, which we'd be able to use to make it cheaper and more attractive via supply and demand, more attractive for people to come and settle. And settlement would increase, populations would increase, and then they would have more transportation needs as well. This would include road networks, trucking, ships, where necessary. If there was more than one settlement on that planet, and there was trade routes through water. Of course, marine's the best. It's the slowest way, but it's one of the best ways to transport fairly cheap. So basically along those lines. Eventually it's going to come down to the point where you have train simulators, and you'd get into the operations. Of course, that would take a long time to get to that stage. There'd be some ability to fast forward time to a certain extent to progress and watch various projects grow, and there would be some AI involved in it for growing your settlement. But I think something like that could grow quite quickly, considering how many people would find it more. It would be like a gold rush type scenario, where a lot of people would be interested because they'd see a lot of lucrative opportunities to have their own businesses and establish their own. I also even think that having a bunch of servers that were interconnected, that were basically locked on the same world or same group that used the same world data, could actually develop their own colonies the way they want to, and then you would have to trade with the other colonies. I don't know. There's a lot of ways it can go, but at least that gets me into the game. Where it goes from there, where it goes from Expedition, it could change. The whole roadmap could change. This is what I'm throwing out there, but I think it's I think it's revolutionary to a way, because I don't think anybody's ever tried this.
I think there's a good reason for that.
And that's what Emmett keeps saying. He says it's far-fetched.
I just can't cope with the idea of having a freaking railroad in space. It's like, oh, I have space choo-choo, yay.
No, this is... and you're getting too hung up on space. It's not about space.
So why bother with it?
So Emmett says, why bother with space? So we're going to start with a world that's just make-believe and randomly generated. So how do you...
Your world would be randomly generated still too if it's not in space.
What's that?
Your world would still be randomly generated too if it's not in space. It's still the same.
The railroad will be randomly generated.
No, what I'm saying is it's still the same thing as what your idea is too, because it's still the same randomly generated thing.
Okay. So forget about space. He's all hung up on this space thing. A lot of people get hung up on this space thing. All right. So it's just a randomly generated world for the hell of it. Another dimension. Who knows what the hell it is?
Or you could make your own world and have some sort of world editor.
Yeah. Okay.
plan, and then you do exactly what you explained. You're
Okay.
basically in a tycoon. You're trying to make relations with certain companies and trying to expand to certain resources that need tapping into in different service.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna get contracts to do certain things from certain people, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
build a railroad tycoon. It's fun.
That's fun.
And it keeps away all the crazy ideas and all the crazy things, and you can advance time, and you can have competition.
But with all those steps, you're missing out on the big thing.
Yeah,
The
well,
the more steps and the more skipping you take because it's too much. Most of that is all first of all, as far as development goes, or testing those theories, it's really everything. Like say, take for example, Transport Tycoon. I'll just see if anybody's commenting as well. But
what do you mean?
I got no viewers right now.
You mean
Nobody's.
Transport Fever?
Yeah. So Transport Fever, the way their cities develop over time. There's some type of logic behind it. Some of it doesn't make much sense, but they do. They just build. They just get bigger, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, they have to be supplied with goods before they can grow.
Exactly. So they get supplied with goods, so they go, which is I agree with, and that's exactly why you have a railroad to begin with, because it can meet the demands that these communities, or whatever you want to call them, want. So that's why the railroad comes in, because it can meet those demands. But the expansion phase of why does it expand here? Why does that? This is what other people can do too. This is where I think others can get involved. I'm not saying it has to be a massive multiplayer type thing. It can be single player too.
You'd have a hard time making it massively multiplayer, I think. It's a niche. It really is. So that's where it's.
Well, yeah, it's. You're right. It's a niche. So, but I think there's enough people that may be interested in something like that.
Yeah.
And if there isn't, then okay. Let's say there isn't. So now you have to create the logic, and then you have to not only that, but you have to create. This is where you and I got hung up on. Remember, we were getting hung up on if it was so. Going back to the whole, I don't care if it's Run 8. I don't know. Let's just use Transport Tycoon because I'm sick of mentioning Run 8.
Fever.
So, Transport Fever, whatever. So Transport Fever, 1, 2, whatever. If you don't have a certain goods on your area, or your area of the map, there's this, isn't there's this fictitious port or something that just brings in stuff?
What?
Don't they have ports that bring in certain
No.
things? Oh, so everything is magically right there.
Not right there, no. You have
But
to
it's-
travel across the map to try to go to different.
Oh, you got to go across the map. That's not necessarily how it works in the real world.
No, and that's why I think it requires improvements.
Okay. So again, you got
Difference in
to.
materials.
I convinced you earlier of the logistics side of things.
Not really.
No, I did because you even said it. What did I convince you?
You convinced me that some of the stuff, so like if you have too detailed of a system, it may be hard to program, and it's going to be taking a lot of stuff. But you never convinced me of an alternative. Now, I asked you, and you didn't have any explanation for it.
I said there was two. That's why you need it in separate programs. Because the AI to do something like that requires that you need multiple programs.
Okay, but if you're still going to have multiple programs, one of them is going to be in a late game thing where there are going to be so much AI running. So you're still going to run into the same issue, regardless.
Okay. So okay, so you're saying it's going to be a late game thing.
Yes.
That kind of thing. So why go through the whole tycoon phase then?
Well, to get to a point where you're profitable.
Why not? Why not have it so that it's all set up? If you're worried about late game, how do you do it? How do you do that for AI? You can't. How do you get it?
What you mean.
How do you get a randomly generated world that actually has all the cities and logistics and everything like that intact and running?
Well, my point is.
No, I'm not worried about your point. I'm asking you a question.
What I'm trying to say, when you have all those things, I don't know how much it's going to take because it depends upon how you code it. It depends upon all this. We haven't got far enough to determine whether or not it's plausible.
I can tell you it's not.
I have a funny feeling it wouldn't be either, but I want to go as far as you possibly can. I've seen many games be able to do.
I'm one person. You've seen every games, but you fail to realize I'm one person with limited.
No, I realize that.
Okay.
Which is why I think it may not be possible at all.
No, it is.
How?
You start with the basics and you work your way up from that, and you build on those systems. Just because you and I like choo-choos doesn't mean we're going to get choo-choos right away. You have to have you don't build a house by you start with you start by digging the foundation, you build it brick by brick and you build it up. Whether it's AI, whatever, you have to have a rule and constructs for everything that you see. It just doesn't randomly appear. Now, if you have houses that are just random, that's okay too, because you can use random objects. You can have 80 different objects to have different houses. My point of all that is it was more of a metaphor. You need to build up from the ground up. I have to get if I'm going to program, I have to get my confidence up enough that I feel I can do it. The problem is right now, I like the games that are out there. I like the simulations that are out there.
Which is why I don't think it's going to happen.
And you might be right.
I don't think it's going to happen.
So.
That's one of the other points. I feel like if we had one game, we'd focus enough on it because we want to complete that one game and we want to see how it turns out. Whereas if we focused on multiple different games,
no. I
don't even think we get that far though.
Then why don't you start something simple, which I am actually talking about. You've heard me talk about it now for 2 weeks.
Yeah. But my point is, I think you're going to start with something simple, and then you're just going to stop. It's going to be nothing. That's what I'm thinking. I don't even think you're going to get past the first one.
Well, then we find out, don't we?
Okay, then do it. You won't make it past it. I'm sure of it.
Wow. See how confident he is? He thinks he knows
positive.
Me. You're positive. I would almost do it to prove you wrong.
Maybe I'm trying to motivate you, huh? No.
Oh, yeah, right.
No.
Right.
I don't think you'd be able to. I don't think you'd be doing every single game. I don't think you would.
Then the whole thing is to do it right. You're going to be capable of programming one day if you want to.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just don't think you're going to go through the whole space choo-choo thing, and eventually you'll realize it. Oh.
Whoa. Okay, so we don't do the space choo-choo thing. Whatever. So I get a program that at least gets it so that I get I go so far. I already have agreed that the only way I want to do a world is I don't want to use transdem or dem data to come up with a world that I have to go in and figure out. I don't have access to the grade data that I'm looking for. So there's only a few different ways I can go about doing this. I either say, okay, I do something simple, but I do it in a different way. I go out an entirely different way, and I go back to that whole 2D thing. And I go with something like Mackyard.
Which I think would be cool.
Okay, well, it's still an idea, and this is why I'm in the concept phase. I can certainly try that and see. But I have always had a passion of doing a 3D game. If I can get it to work in 3D, do you realize how motivated I would be if I could get that to work?
Yeah, I'm sure you would be.
So why do you think I would all of a sudden give up on it if I was motivated? I'm not motivated
Problem
right
is,
now.
I think you're going to run into way too many roadblocks. And this has happened to you in the past. You've run into roadblocks with...
Yeah, but this is
trains, for
mine.
example.
This is no. This is mine. This is mine now.
Okay.
I own this.
Yeah.
I can't blame it on anything else but myself.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
I can come up with every reason why it's a pain in the ass to build the route I want because I'm a perfectionist and want Niagara to look like Niagara, not, like look at the picture.
Yeah.
Look at
that in any game.
Huh?
Good luck making that perfectly in any game.
Well, some people do it. Why can't I?
It's never gonna happen.
Okay, well, it's never going to happen. The problem with you is you're so friggin' pessimistic, and you're not realistic. You think you're realistic, but you're
I
not.
think you're too optimistic.
Oh, I'm too optimistic. That's a first. I haven't heard that one in a long time. Guys, do I sound like an optimistic guy to you?
Well, become optimistic and then become...
If I was optimistic, I said version 3 of Run 8's going to be here next week.
No, that's because you've gone through that and you realize that. But you're too
No, but I'm optimistic. No. I'm optimistic. I still believe in them. Rah. They're like elves at the Keebler Toy Factory. They're just going away and they're just hammering away. They don't have time to talk to anybody. They just boom, 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 boom. Run 8, yeah. I said I wasn't going to mention Run 8 again, but here I am. That's optimism.
Yes.
Am I optimistic about that? Hell no. If they prove me wrong, great. Maybe I'll fork out $40. Maybe they won't sell it to me. Who knows? Because I talk crap about them all the time. But, I mean, hey. It's called passion. I had passion in that. I don't have passion in that. Do I have passion in what I do with flying? Yes. Do I have passion in trains still? Absolutely. Do I want to get there before I die? Absolutely. But I have certain optimism, yes. But I'm also realistic. And yeah, I know what you're saying. You think I'm not going to get there because I'm going to come up with roadblocks. If I come up with roadblocks, these are my roadblocks. I already came up with one. Mm-hmm. And it was a good thing I got it early. Had I started getting into Niagara too much, and I realized, no, I can't do Niagara. I got to do something bigger at least. So at least I knew there. That was just a shift. I could still do the same thing somewhere else.
Yeah.
But I've decided, no, I want to go about this a different way. So I want to take the prototype right out of it. Because that eliminates a lot of roadblocks. Then I'm all up to basically going through and saying, okay, here's the data. It's generated it. It looks relatively like a planet. It looks relatively like a landscape. I enjoy discovery and exploring. Oh, I feel like I got to sneeze. Excuse me. But so once I have that, I've already got something that basically anything I have the, you know how much it takes to develop actual worlds, like the actual stuff in behind it.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of art and stuff like that
Yeah.
to come up with some of that stuff.
Exactly.
If I can figure out how to do the fundamentals and get something that looks realistic, doesn't look out of place. Do you realize what a starting block that is? That opens a door for so much stuff.
It does.
I wouldn't shut it down.
It does. I don't know if it's possible though.
Well, we're gonna find out if I want to go through
I want
it.
to try it either way because no matter what, that means that there's a lot of opportunity there.
And if there isn't,
But if it doesn't work, then nothing's going to happen.
No, it doesn't mean nothing's gonna happen.
Well, nothing like what we're going on.
Exactly. That's why you start at square one.
Yeah.
You
And that's what I said, but you don't necessarily need to make a game out of it.
I'm not saying I have to make a game out of it. Yes, I can see it being one. But like you said before, well, you could probably combine the industry side of it into it too. And I think, yeah, you probably can. Because there's not much AI involved in that other than generating the world.
Yeah.
The world's there for you to explore.
The world's going to be in the other game anyway, so.
Exactly. The world's going to be in everything. It's going to be the basic foundation. And then the assets that come after that. If I'm starting without these buildings and I'm starting with just trees, the only assets I'm looking at are trees. There's nothing else. You're dealing with water. I mean, that's going to be a challenge to get running water coming.
It's going to be a real challenge.
Of course it is.
Programming teams struggle with water.
Huh?
Programming teams struggle with water, let alone one person.
Programming what?
Teams of programmers struggle with water, let alone one person.
Teams of programs.
Yeah, struggle with water. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Let alone one person.
Okay. So I do something. I start something first. Maybe I don't go the same route that I thought I was going to. Maybe I can only go so far in it. So I do the best I can with it. We saw a desert game today, and I even said to you when we were seeing this, and I see this anytime we come across a game. Well, that doesn't have to worry about water because everything's underground.
Yeah.
And it was a desert landscape. It looked pretty cool. I thought it was kind of neat.
Yeah.
And you have desert planets. There's no reason why you can't have a rail line on a desert planet.
No, not really. There's no reason to it.
Okay.
A lot of iron, a lot of potash. So.
Well, I don't know what there's going to be, but whatever. I mean, I like water. So you start with that, and then you try to play around with it with ways of having, and you create updates to the program that say, oh, all of a sudden you got running water. That creates brand new industries like.
There is one reason why you do need water, but.
What?
Well, it's used in a lot of industrial processes. It's also used.
Yeah, but it's underwater. Yeah, it's all underwater.
Water is underwater.
Yeah.
Yes.
Water. There's water.
Underground.
Underground. Yes. Smartass.
Wells. Yay.
Right. But that's all there.
Yeah.
So other than the actual oceans and the land, I mean, the oceans can still be there. I think I can do the ocean level. The ocean level's fine.
Yeah.
But as far as precipitation, everything else can be desert-like.
Yay.
You know, you can have deserts and oceans.
Yeah.
I don't know how realistic that is.
Not really. You got a lot more vegetation in between. Quite often.
I don't know.
But usually you'd have rivers there too. But.
Right, but then everything could be in underwater or underground. Sorry. Maybe the air is so less humid.
Yeah, people die.
No, people have to pump it from underground, and because it's dried up and the oceans aren't as plentiful or anymore or whatever. Huh?
Going into too much backstory.
I'm going to a backstory?
You're going into too much backstory. Oh, you have to do this now. Oh, it's gonna be a desert planet now, so that removes half of random generation.
It does, but it makes it at least it makes it something.
Makes it less complex too.
Exactly. So you start out with something, and then you see how it can go.
Yes.
So water doesn't even have to be part of the thing. You found a desert planet. Why are they bothering with Mars right now? They don't know of any water on top, but they think they found it.
Yeah.
It's not at the surface.
They're not sure what there is. They want to know if there is. Because
Okay.
if there is, they can support life there, and that helps explanation. But it's also close. It helps expansion of human race. But Mars is close.
Okay.
Another planet that's so far away. Why would you bother?
See, you're getting hung up on that. You're getting hung up on me putting in a technology that we don't know of because you can't handle your brain cannot handle the possibility of you say, oh, you can't have a backstory. That's what you say. Oh no, there's a backstory. It's just a planet that's like Earth that just randomly pooped.
Look at how many games that are randomly generated.
All right.
There's no explanation behind it.
Okay.
Do you know why that is? Because it doesn't matter.
Okay, so it doesn't matter. Remember that. Remember those words. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't
Okay,
matter.
okay. No. Hold on. Okay, never. It doesn't matter how you explain it. Okay. So I have explained something that has some type of ancient technology that allows you to magically go through space.
Nikola Tesla's secret box.
Or whatever. It doesn't matter. Keep saying it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't really
You're right.
matter.
No, it's a rock. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you think. Yeah, exactly. So, if it doesn't matter, keep that. Go ahead. Keep that in mind. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter.
No. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
Yes.
So however the hell that stupid the raise is, they're going here because they want to escape the political landscape of Earth and the war of politics and race and all this other crap that everybody keeps shoving down our throats, and inequality and all that. They want to escape to a better place to start their own life, just like how they wanted to go from Europe to the West because there was new world. It's like a gold rush.
Because there was gold.
No. It was more than just because there was gold.
Natural resources and opportunity.
It was opportunity. They were in a condensed, Europe, where there was very little land, and they had to start.
There's still land.
Huh?
There's still tons of land.
There's land, but they to get the resources and whatever they needed to survive, they had to be part of the cities. It's just like how it works now. If I told you the other day, if I can move out and have a homestead in the countryside, I would do it. But why can't I do it? Because I have to work. And no, I can't live off the land. I could, unless I had a lot of money to buy a certain area and I had skills. I don't have those. Can it be done? Yes.
Yeah. Has it been done? Yeah.
Has it been? Of course, people can do it.
Yeah, that's why we were alive.
But that would take a sacrifice on my part.
Yeah.
If say for example I didn't have you,
Yeah.
I might actually research that shit, and I may actually have done it.
Yeah.
But I decided to have a family.
Yeah.
I don't regret that.
No.
So my whole thing is there are people who would be up for the idea of going to another planet. They don't have anything left behind. If it wasn't for you, I'd have nothing. The only thing I'd have is the entertainment, which is very little that I watch. Trains, which I love. So here I am knowing nothing about mechanics. I know a little bit about some basic survival and how to grow seeds and stuff like that. So I know the basics, and I think I can do it. I think I've learned enough to do it. Do I think I'm going to build a railroad and watch choo-choos all day? No, but I would give that up for the opportunity to start a life for myself if I was single and didn't have any family and had no background. And if I was to go to a different planet, fine. So it doesn't matter, remember?
It doesn't really matter.
But that's the thing. Don't worry about that part. The thing is, you're there. I don't care if it's a desert planet, and the reason why it's a desert planet to start with is because I have to learn how to do the water. Can it be a desert with oceans? I guess.
Sure. Guess it doesn't make logical sense, but
Okay, well then screw it. So let's start with a desert. Let's just start with that part's easy, dude.
big yellow ball.
But that part's easy.
Yes, I know.
I like the idea of having water. I like scenes like this.
I like frozen desert. Yeah.
Yeah, you can do Frozen.
Mars.
You can do Frozen.
Frozen desert.
Don't they have a game called Exploring Mars or something like that? I'd have to take a look at it.
There's a bunch of them. There's like 50 games on Mars.
Oh, there's 50 games on Mars.
Probably
Okay, well,
more.
maybe I'll have to research that
50
stuff.
good games on Mars.
Oh, 50 good games on Mars.
Probably 50 that aren't, but
Okay, well, I'd like to see the good ones. I don't give
Yeah.
I don't care about the
I
ones
think
that
you already
aren't.
own one.
Huh?
I think you already own one that does stuff on Mars. Planet based, it's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different. But you see, I actually want an atmosphere.
Uh-huh.
Can you have an atmosphere on a desert planet?
Depends.
Luke Skywalker said you could.
Said a lot of things that don't make physical sense, but yes.
They did it. They did
There's
it.
the Force.
Luke Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, they're on a desert spot. They even had 2 moons. It was awesome.
And the blue was cool.
Yes. I'm going there. Let's build it.
Then again, Tatooine was really weird because it had a bunch of swamps that didn't make sense. But
It doesn't matter. They did it. If they can do it, if Lucasfilm can do it, I can do it.
Okay.
Yeah. Screw them. If I want to build a friggin' railroad, if I want to build a friggin' railroad to Jabba the Hutt, I can.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
because Jabba likes a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. No, Jabba doesn't live
Death
on
Star Railway.
Death Star. Honestly, I still love trains, guys. I want to do trains, but it might take me a while to get there. But we'll see. I want to start with the random generation. I want to start with the planet side first. That gives me a canvas to work on. Then from there, I mean, honestly, I could go either way. If I want to have the industrial side, that's why I want to go that route. I want to have the logistics sense. I want to have the tycoon sense. I want to be able to build your own networks. I don't want to rely on AI building train networks. Because they look like crap.
Yes.
If you ever exactly, you ever see how AI does it in those tycoon games, and they just do nonsense.
You do them on Logic too. But
Yeah, but their logic doesn't work. So how the hell is my logic going to be any better? I mean, yeah, I can do some good logic and I can do some good AI, but it still takes a lot of processing. So, anyways, wow, it's 3:21. I still haven't done. I still have. I should end this now. Nobody's watching.
yeah, nobody's watching.
Nobody's watching.
Nobody will watch. Oh, there's 2 people watching.
Oh, hi.
Wow.
And 2 likes. 2 people like it. Cool.
Yay.
Yay.
Someone likes me. Yay.
I like the banter. So, anyways, hopefully you like that, guys. Let me know what you think. You got any ideas?
I don't know if you can even hear me.
Yeah, you can hear them. If you can't hear them, we'll say you can't hear them. Anyways, no chat, no nothing else going on, so I'm gonna end it for now, and we'll get to some more inspiration and stuff like that. So that's the title, Revolutionary Transportation Simulations. That's just the title of where I want to take things. Where that's going to lead, I have no idea. It's still RTS, but it's not Railroad Transportation Simulator. I mean, what the hell's a Railroad Transportation Simulator anymore? It's a nice concept and all, but give me access to a program that can do it. Then we'll see. Anyways, that's all for now. Have a good one. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Okay.